So anyway, pastors to keep everyone just talking about salvation, helping each other. So what is a biblical worldview of a teaching pastor? So everything is supposed to be about salvation, and everything is supposed to be about repenting of unbelief and about helping each other. All pastors are supposed to help each other. A biblical worldview is supposed to be, let's just say, the gay gender is not really good at all. It's satanic and evil. Witchcraft is satanic and evil, and media can be satanic and evil. War is going to be like the Revelation times. Revelation times of the end times is like things like weather events and people uprising and rioting and all that. And even better is an example is all these things converging at the same time, like people becoming atheists and going away from the church, and also let me describe to you this, that the church does not believe anymore, and that's why no one's made a church anymore, because they don't really want to have churches talk to you like it's you're like your puppet or anything like that, because they're not supposed to force you to change. If you don't want to change, and they're supposed to not let you be at church anymore. So let's say if the person wants to be not changing, then the church is supposed to not let you be there anymore, and say, don't force us with your opinions. But if you don't want to be changed with our, if we don't want to let the doctor help you, then the doctor doesn't want to help you, and you have the freedom to do that. However, if you let the doctor help you, then you'll definitely not die. If you don't want to let the doctor help you, then you will die. It's just a matter of belief. Well, anyway, I've said enough. It's all about salvation for the churches, and for the world, it's all about really, coming to God. Everything is about heaven and coming to God, and not about anything else except for, listening to the truth. And if the Bible, if you say the Bible is wrong in some area, or if you say if you have anything of your own opinion about what the Bible says, ask God for it. Any kind of help. Ask God if you want. Ask God if you want Him to help you, and have Him, give you things of His glory, and give you things of His nature. If you want His interpretation of the Bible, then let God help you. Heck, I don't really quote from the Bible that much. However, I do know this, that the church is supposed to help people. If you really are the Bible scholar, then you're supposed to, you're supposed to be a pastor and a preacher. And if you're really, let's say, an evangelist, you're supposed to help the people that are, unbelievers, like I am. And the families, unfortunately, like 2% of the world population, only 2% of the United States population of families hold a biblical worldview of familyhood, and that is to teach the young, especially young children. All the young children are supposed to be taught about God, but schools don't do that anymore. Churches really don't do that anymore, and they're supposed to be the ones that are teaching the young to really believe in God, and the families never do that anymore. So what about the young? Has God forgotten about the young? He may have, because again, He doesn't forget about the young unless they're just really going away from Him. There will be people that will be going to heaven, and they'll be like disappear. There'll be like people that have disappeared on the earth. I know we're getting close to that time, but I don't know how close. So let God have that timing. If you say that you have the private interpretation of Hebrew tongue of the language, let God have that interpretation for you, not the computer. Because there's Bible scholars that have had so many years of college biblical college, and they're supposed to have more biblical college than anything else about the language of, the Hebrew language and the Greek language, and especially the Greek language. And then there's also the language of the Romans. Those are the languages that people use, but the language of, Arabic, a little bit of Latin, which is the Roman Latin, and the Greek, especially the Greek. But the Bible didn't use, only one language to describe everything. So if you're wondering, is that word correct? Is that interpretation correct? That just use one language. Use the Bible as a whole. And use the correct Bibles. Maybe you should use like the King James Version and use other versions that are old-fashioned and many of them true. Because the more old-fashioned the Bible, the less corrupted it will be. And of course, some of the new versions do have a little. And those are the ones that are, talking about the spiritual things. Because more people have been to heaven and all that. And the ones that just describe about heaven, these people are, they know the language better than anything else. Because, do people go to heaven and back? Well, there has been a passage in the Bible that says someone's been to the third heaven and back. Maybe by vision, maybe not. You will never know about that unless you've seen it yourself. And you probably won't know if it's a vision or not. Or if it's a dream or not. Or maybe you have a near-death experience. The Bible doesn't specifically say near-death experience, but it does say third heaven, which is past second heaven, which is, like hell, and first heaven, which is the space in the sky. So do know this. If anything biblical happens, it's because people are going to the Bible. And it's saying it's supposed to be for the Bible. It's biblical proportions. It's not just because of that. It's anything biblical is because people understand it biblically. And people say, oh, it's biblical proportions. People that are unbelievers and say biblical proportions, they know that God exists. But they do not really retain Him in their mind. We're supposed to always have God in our mind and not have other things like pagan worship. Anything pagan is for the law. Anything pagan is for works. But belief in Christianity, really, by implication, is accepting a free gift of salvation. And that's all you have to do. Alright, I'll be done now, okay? Bye.